It's Jody. I am here with another update. The last video I actually recorded 2 weeks ago, and I finally posted it this morning. But so much has happened since that video. 2 days after that video I posted about being stuck and feeling like I was in the birth canal, I had my first big grand mal seizure in 97 days. It came out of nowhere, totally unexpected. Looking back now, I think it probably was, I wasn't on a schedule anymore with my pills. I was messing up, like, what time I took the AM pills, did I take all of the PM pills, things like that. I had a lot of stress going on, and I was in an art block. And it happens. It just happens. Like, I remember years ago, noticing, like, my whole life, ebbs and flows. And I was once talking to a friend, Tara, and she said her husband's an artist, and he goes through, she said, think of it like breathing. It's expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, just like your lungs when you're breathing. And it's totally normal to have times when you are massively creative or productive or whatever you want to call it. And then there's times when you're just, and you're stuck. What I now understand, that was like in 2018, she and I had that conversation. And after always remembering hearing someone else say that about an artist in their life, every time it happens now, I don't worry. I used to worry, and I'll get down, I'll get, and I'll feel so stuck, and then I'll get depressed. Like, I got really depressed after that seizure because I had made it 97 days with no seizures. And my dream is to drive again someday. And I have to be a minimum of a year without any hint of a seizure activity before I can even think about driving again. And I want that, like, more than anything. And I just saw all my dreams, that I was starting to believe again, that I could have dreams, that I could have a life again the way I wanted. And when I had that seizure last week, well, a week and a half ago now, I just saw everything going away to the other side of the ocean, and I was like, ugh. And I went really deeply depressed. But right before that happened, I remembered that when I first was getting in that funk around the time I made that video, I remembered that when I get stuck with, like, painting and I'm not working on mixed media stuff, then I would go back to needlework and I would cross stitch and I would do textile stuff. And then the more I did that, the more it made me want to go back to the painting and the mixed media. And so I would just do different crafts, different art, different things to keep. So I was doing something. I was still creating something, even when I was like, ugh. But I can't see. One of the problems that I've had with the epilepsy is my vision. We've even attributed it to medication, changed meds. I've been to ophthalmologists, all kinds of things. Could be related to blood sugar. Like, I have so many different things going on now with my health. But my vision will just get blurry, or I can't see well enough to do cross stitch. It's so precise, and you have to count, and it's tiny, but I can do freehand embroidery, and I can do yarn work, I can crochet, I can knit. Well, guess what? I haven't crocheted since I was like 13 years old, and I don't know how to knit. But weaving, I had the thought, if I could weave, that would really interest me, that I could weave some fabric and then embroider on it the same way some of my art pieces are painted on canvas, and then I did freehand embroidery on it. I was like, oh, I could do that, and maybe that would get my mojo back. And so I was looking up weaving videos on YouTube, and one of the things that was a crossover with weaving was peg looms. And peg looms were knitting. And I meant to have it ready. I have other things here. So I did some research and saw videos about this kind of peg loom that you go buy for $8 at Walmart. and you get some crazy, funky Jodi yarn in some wild color. Or not. But, and you just have this tool. Like, you get a loom, and it comes with a tool, and you just wrap yarn around the pegs and flip it with the tool, and then wrap yarn and flip it, and wrap yarn and flip it, and you're just doing this very mundane task over and over and over. And there's tons of videos on YouTube with people teaching you how to get started, this, common problems with beginners and things, and try this stitch, try that way, And the next thing you know, I made something. Like, I really made, this was one skein of yarn. This was one skein of, it was a small ball, but this was one skein of like a really soft blankety yarn. My very first project, and I did this. I made this all by myself. Oh, so soft. And then I went to the store, and I was looking for this, and they had kits with these take it apart pieces, and they were on clearance for like $6. I got a loom. And so I was like, all right. So I tried it, and that's how I made that one. And then I was at the grocery store buying some groceries, and I had some money left over, so I got this, and I got another skein of yarn, and I made this beautiful, like, it's kind of big to be a scarf, but small to be a shawl. I don't know. I just decided just try a completely different style of stitch on a different loom. I did a double knit, did it the entire length of the loom just to see what would come out, and I made this gorgeous, like, blankety shawl thing. And then in between these two, because I had this loom first, like, I finished that one and just grabbed that and started making this. And I'm learning that this one kind of stitch with this one method is it's rolling on the inside. It started rolling on the bottom, and then it started curling up on the inside. So one idea I had for this piece was, when I'm finished, to sew it and purposely make it like double knit and thin, and let it lay flat, and then send it to my little tiny granddaughter, because she's so petite. This could still work as a scarf for her, but right now I'm just playing and just having fun. And what I found out was, I was so stuck, and I was so depressed, right? And so here's the order of operations. I use YouTube all the time for everything. There's so much free content on YouTube. There's no excuse for not, like, finding something to do with yourself if you have YouTube, right? And I have no ad YouTube, so I can close the app and do something else and still listen. I can listen to it in my sleep and have no ads. I listen to subliminals while I'm sleeping, hypnosis and subliminals, to get my subconscious positive, manifesting, moving forward, thinking in the right direction, even when during the day I felt like crap. So that was number one. Constant, while I'm sleeping, programming my mind the way I want it to be, right? So that I can be Jodi. Number two, I had a friend see that I could use a boost. And so she sent me just a few dollars, and I just went and got this new little project. For $15, I got a loom, and I got some yarn, and I got the hook, and I was doing a project. And nonstop, I just created. I just worked on something. Actually, I would say that was number three. Number two was, I let myself sleep as much as I could, as much as I wanted to, guilt-free. I didn't care if it was 6 o'clock at night. I slept. And 80% of the time, I was listening to subliminals. And 20% of the time, like if I woke up at, for like my sleep time, I would listen to the subliminals. But then if I took another 3-hour nap later in the day, I didn't. I just had normal dreams and let my body process everything. And I just slept as much as I needed to for over a week. I mean, there were days I slept 14 hours. I didn't care. I stopped guilting myself about it. I got over it. I said, you know what, if this is what I need. And I finally slept really good for the first time in months. And the first 3 days, I felt really guilty about sleeping like 14 hours. And getting up at 3 in the afternoon and going, I still can't do it. And going back to sleep until 6 o'clock at night. And then staying up till 5, 6 in the morning. I was so messed up. And I decided, you know what? The more you obsess about this, the more it's going to keep happening. You've done this before. You'll do it again. And you've learned every time, as soon as you stop worrying about it and deciding it's okay that I need this right now, it got better. And so then the third thing was the projects with the loom knitting and being able to see how quickly, like, I could sit down for a couple hours. I had this thing done in 24 hours, maybe 48 at the most. Like, working one day, then the next day, then the next. Like, within 48 hours, this thing was finished. I mean, this is a huge project to have after being stuck in the last video I made, being so stuck and doing nothing. And so just in less than 2 weeks, I did these 2 projects, and I did 4. I've stitched at least 4, probably 5 feet now. I think when I measured this, it was at 4 feet, and I've done 5 feet now on this one. So I've done this much. I love this project because it's so simple to just watch a show, watch a video on YouTube, and just, you know, wrap it, flip them with the hook. Wrap it, flip them with the hook. And you just mindlessly, you're just doing the same thing over and 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 over while you watch YouTube or you watch something on Hulu or Netflix or whatever. And the next thing you know, you look down and you have something you created with your own hands. You accomplished that. Oh my God. Just getting enough rest finally. Deciding it's okay if I need rest, that I get rest. And making something, anything, that creative energy. But also taking the time while I'm sleeping to listen to the subliminals and the hypnosis to like plant the right thoughts in my mind to overpower the ones that I don't want to have. I can't tell you. I woke up from a nap 2 days ago. So what's today? Sunday. So Friday. I slept till like 2 in the afternoon, and then I took a nap again from 4 to 6 because I tried really hard to stay up and I just couldn't do it. And I just said, you know what? I just don't care. I got to do this. I just have to. It just has to not matter. I have to sleep right now. I mean, where am I going anyway? I'm not doing nothing. I'm sitting around and just waiting for my disability, waiting for the next doctor visit, right? And I woke up at 6 o'clock at night on Friday, like feeling like I finally broke a curse, like a spell, like this dark cloud that was over me. Like, that I had days that I felt so heavy. I felt like I was walking through soup in a fog. Like, you know how they say like a thick fog will be like pea soup? I just felt like so heavy. And it's normal, like, one day after, like, you'll have the seizure, and then that day your body's kind of in shock. So if you've had them a lot and you're used to them, like, it hurts, but not that bad the day you have the seizure. Then you go to sleep, and the next day you wake up, and it's like, it's kind of like if you haven't been to the gym for a really long time, and you go to the gym, and you're all pumped, and you're all excited, and you work out way too hard the first time. So the next day you wake up, and you're like, you're hurting. And you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea. That's how it is to have a seizure, especially when you haven't had one in a while. Because your muscles my muscles contract, and, like, you're overworking your muscles. Like, imagine just, like, contracting your muscles as hard as they can go and not letting go for 2 minutes. Like, can you even imagine? And it just, ugh. And so the next day, you find out, like, the first day when you come out of it, you're like, okay, I had a massive seizure. I'm very confused. I'm trying to get my bearings. But your body's still in shock from all that adrenaline and all that. But the next day, you wake up and you find just how bad your tongue was cut up, how bad you hurt. You know, this time it was my legs more, my arms more, or my gut, or everything, or, you know, oh, this time, you know, I've had injuries from seizures because I've fallen, or I've fallen out of bed. One time I fell out of bed and whacked my eye so bad. I was seizing like this, banging my eye in a chair. I was home alone and I fell out of bed. And what must have happened from the vague memory I have of waking up and then going back out of it again, was I was down on the floor in one direction by the chair, and then I woke up fully somewhere else on the floor. But I almost lost my left eye. And that night, I had such a searing pain go through my head. I was scared I was going to lose my eye. I went to 2 ERs because the first one didn't have an ophthalmologist on call, and they sent me to a second ER to make sure I wasn't going to lose my eye. And my whole face was battered. Like, I looked like someone beat me in a back alley for like weeks afterwards. And for months, even now, if I get really, really tired, there'll be like a black circle, like a lot stronger under this eye than the other one. Because it just... I have so many weird injuries from my seizures. So many weird injuries. But anyway, yeah, I just, ever since that seizure, I was in such a funk. And Friday, I woke up from this nap at 6 p.m. and I was just like, oh my, it was like the skies opened, the seas parted, and suddenly, like, everything was going to be better, and I was me again. Like, I haven't felt like myself probably since before I went to the epilepsy monitoring unit in March. Like, I have not felt this much like myself. And it was just, oh my God, I felt like for 24 hours now, or 48 hours now, I have felt, yeah, because it's about to be 6 o'clock on Sunday. So for 48 hours now, I have felt so good, so much like myself, more than I have in months. And I feel like I even said that, and that's what made me post that video this morning. I was like, you know, you never posted that video from 2 weeks ago, and the one you're going to make next, this one, will make a lot more sense if you post that one from 2 Mondays ago and then make this video today. Sure enough, because I said in that video, I felt like something's coming, something's going to change, but I'm stuck and I'm stagnant and I'm in the birth canal. And I still feel something's coming. Maybe I'm finally going to get it approved after 2 years. July 11th will be 2 years since I applied for disability. And I should have applied a year before that. But a lot of having a disability is acceptance. Like, you have to grieve what you used to be and what you used to have, and you have to make acceptance of where you're at before you can give yourself permission to dive into that path. And so I didn't even apply until July 11th of 2022, but it's coming up on 2 years. Maybe I'm finally going to get approved and be able to support myself. Who knows? But I feel so much better mentally and emotionally, and that's what counts. So, yeah. So I just thought if you saw the last video, you'd appreciate seeing this one and knowing that it does get better. And I highly recommend just try something new. Try something, anything new. And comment if you want more information about the loom knitting, and I'll share some links with people that are really good teachers on YouTube. All right, I'll talk to you soon.